Hello, 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 hello. Bayek here. It has been a very long time since I have uploaded any videos, well, this is the first podcast video I'm doing, but a very long time since I've updated the podcast. And this is the kickoff episode for season 2. I'm not going to apologize for taking a hiatus because I have been on a very long learning journey and spiritual journey, and I've been getting myself together. I've been healing, I've been learning, studying, doing all sorts of the things. So I am really grateful for that. I have been thriving. I am in a much better headspace and spiritual space than I was when season 1 left off. For those of you who are invested in me and in the show, I want to thank you so much. Thank you to new listeners. Thank you to returning listeners. I appreciate it so much. So just to update really quickly, I changed my moniker to Conjureman Bayek rather than Hoodoo Bayek because I feel like the word hoodoo is very, dare I say, like overused. And I don't know, like traditionally, it's, that's not really what our predecessors called it. It was more so called Rootwork or Conjure. And as I was learning more, I felt like Conjureman Bayek was different. And, it was a bit more true to the history of the art and the practice. So that is why I changed it. You can now find me on Instagram at Conjureman Bayek. You can find me on YouTube at Conjureman Bayek. And I also started selling products, yay, candles, agua de flora. I now do readings more openly, I would say. So you can just go to my site at bayekshop.com and book with me. Buy my products there. Shipping is available. I'm really excited to have taken this step in my spiritual journey and in my life. And I'm very grateful for the people who have stuck with me and who are continuing to listen. Season 2 of Bayek's Desert is going to be a fucking blast, okay? I've learned so much more. I have so much more to offer, so much more to say, so much more to think. And I'm ready. So I hope you all are ready. So without further ado, let's get into the program. So I do want to start off with an update about where I've been, things I've been doing. Okay, so in my temple. So I wanted to start with In My Temple for this season 2 kickoff because I felt it was only right to give you guys a precursor into what the fuck has exactly been going on with me, what have I been doing in this journey. And I It's been so much I don't know where to start. I want to say it's been about 6 months since I last updated the podcast, and the last update I released was my thoughts on discretion, because too often I see or would hear people, oh, you gotta be secretive, you gotta be discreet, da 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 da. And it's like, no, the fuck we don't. Like, our traditional practices, because of colonialism and imperialism, are dying out. In pre-colonialism, it, benefited us to have tradition just be oral based and be, initiation based. But after that, and now that there's, black people in diasporas on different continents and different countries, the practices are becoming lost. And, minds are becoming increasingly colonialized. So it's like, be secretive, but then, our heritage dies out. And so I am very anti-secretive practice. Of course, there are still going to be things that you have to be initiated into, and, so on and so forth, especially if you are, a devotee of Ifa, or plan on being a, like a major practitioner of Ifa. But generally speaking, I guess I would say the basic things are fine to, be, and I don't even want to use the word basic, but are fine. We should spread that knowledge to our diasporic brothers and sisters, and be open with it, be freely willing to give that knowledge, and give a hand where needed. So just wanted to put that out there. That was my last update that was the last update to the podcast. You can go check that out. It's under the title of that episode, or mini-sode, is my thoughts on discretion. So pretty much since then, I've been very low-key. I have been doing a lot of shadow work. I've been going major internal, like digging deep, fine-tooth combing all of my trauma, outing my abusers, just going through every bit and piece of my psyche, like bit by bit by bit. And it wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. Like, there was a lot of grief that I had, and a lot of grief I had to come to terms with and process. But after that was over, I actually felt really good, and it was intense, but it didn't hurt as much as I thought. Like, I don't know, I was just so scared of oh my God, I thought like I was just gonna open a gigantic can of worms, which, kind of did, depends on who you ask. But I feel so much better. I feel so relieved. My abilities have progressed, evolved. I became more sensitive, more empathetic. Just my ability to process intuitive information has gotten exponentially better. And I also do spiritual counseling now, like for real. And I've been doing it on like a informal basis, but I am now at a point in my journey where I can actually offer that as a service. And I actually also I started studying psychology as well too, so as to further assist with my intuitive abilities. Science and traditional practices were never meant to be separated. So I like to study both, and yeah, check me out. But whew, it's been a lot of personal things too that have gotten so much better. My boundaries are a lot better. I'm more steadfast in my boundaries. It's so crazy because, if you look back in the earlier episodes, I'm like talking about how like niggas are dogging me out. And I'm like, it's so funny because since I've like evolved, I'm like, I wouldn't even give those people the time of day. Like, I wouldn't even let those people look at me, and I feel so much better. I just feel so much better, like being able to express myself and stay true to myself, stay true to my boundaries. So I am really grateful for this entire learning experience. I'm grateful for all the experiences, good and bad. I'm grateful for all the lessons. I would not be where I am today without those lessons. And, forever a student. Shout out to Cassie. She taught me that. Cassie is an intuitive here in Detroit. And, that's one of the things she said to me in one of our readings. And it stuck with me. And I always remember that because I never, you can never know everything. And you can never know too much. You're always learning. Learning is an ongoing process, ever-going process. So yeah. Whoa. Okay. So let's BoJack Horseman this shit. So a part of my shadow work is holding yourself accountable. It's fine-tooth combing all of the shadow parts of yourself, of your psyche, of your energy, and working through the traumas that you've collected and have experienced. But it's also being honest with yourself about where you personally went wrong at. And I have some honesty to be honest about with you guys. So, yeah. Hey, so we are back. So I had to take a quick break to collect all of my thoughts. But so this is still, in my temple segment, but I feel like this segment is going to be broken down into mini segments. And so this first one is going to be the lessons that I've learned. So over this past 6 months, I believe it's been 6 months, I've learned a lot. And one of the first things that I learned was that I am not in control of anybody else's journey. So if you have listened to the previous episodes, if you've been following my journey, following my story, you know that I have a tendency to insert myself in shit that has nothing to do with me. And one of my catchphrases over this time has been, that don't got shit to do with me. Not because I don't care, but because I really have to do that in order to remind myself to not, expend my energy and spirit to the point where I'm now, to the point where I'm in a shitty mood and have shitty spiritual and psychological hygiene. And yeah, so I've also have learned to be more attentive to my spirits, and I've learned to be more attentive to the intuitive information that I get and that I receive. Just doing that it's just allowed me to vibrate so much higher, and has really saved my ass a lot, if we're being honest. And and yes, and I know he, likes to stay private, but I just want to give out my love to Eshu. I love Eshu so much. Eshu has taught me so much, and I'm so grateful for him. I'm so thankful and grateful for my spirit team, my spirit guides, and I'm tearing up. But and I was hesitant to say this because if you work with Eshu, he is a very private deity, very private. But I really, I have to give out my love to him. And I realized, how much alike we are. And another one of the lessons that I've learned is I have to live my life a certain way. And there are certain things that I will never be able to participate in. There are certain activities, I can't indulge in. There are, just places I should not go, and, people I should not be around. And this is a process. If I probably would have gotten like an EFI reading, I, probably could have been told this information. But, trial and error. I just, had to learn it through trial and error, and, take notes of it and be like, look, bitch, this shit don't work. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop indulging in this activity, da 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 da. And so once I, I was down horrendous, okay? So, I used to, I'm gay, and, the gays are wild. So I would cruise, and I would never find people, I would never find, people to, have sex with. And it would be always some, shit, or I would, something not, bad, but, my body would, start hurting or whatever the case. Or, I just would not find, a sex partner. And I didn't know that then when I was doing it, but it dawned on me during, this past, half of a year that I've been on this spiritual sabbatical, is because those activities are not meant for me. And so I realized what was happening was my spirits was blocking me out from those experiences. I can't, and what's so crazy? I don't go to clubs. I don't go to bars. I hate unpredictable, uncontrolled environments. But every time I've went to a bar or to a club, bad shit has happened. So it has occurred to me that though that is one of the things I spiritually, I'm sure it's written into my Ori that I cannot indulge in those, settings. And I just wish, my naive ass would have learned these lessons sooner and would have came to this conclusion sooner, because bad shit would always happen. Every time I went to a bar, every time I went to a club, something popped off, or I met someone that I could have went without meeting. And I'm not gonna spill all of my tea, But what I will say is listen to your intuition, listen to the signs that you are being given from the universe. The universe is never going to steer you wrong. And even if you are experiencing temporary pain, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, and you need to listen to it, heed those messages, and push through and allow yourself to evolve. And I don't want to push through, but but allow yourself to sit in those experiences and sit in those emotions and evolve from that space. We only grow when we push ourselves beyond what we already know. And 19-year-old me, 20-year-old me, and even I'm 22 now, and even 21-year-old me, was very naive. And there was just a lot that I just did not understand about my life or the trajectory of my life, which brings me into my next point. I have since discovered that and I've been knew this, but I came to understand it a lot more on the spiritual level and on an internal level. But my goal, my spiritual goal in this life, what is written into my aura, is to guide people. And it is to be a gear in other people's lives. Not to do the work for them, but to teach, to educate, to be a person that gets actions to happen. Like when you're playing a video game and the cutscene doesn't happen until your character walks into a certain space. I've learned that is one of the roles that I'm supposed to play in this life. I'm supposed to be a driving force in people's lives in order to push them to grow. And, I didn't, like I said, I kind of understood that, but not really. I had the gist of it, but this entire year has just been that. Spirit will put me in situations that I don't care to be in. And it'll be really aggravating or really irritating, to say the least. But they would also shield me from the bullshit. I'm just supposed to be there to make an event happen, but Spirit would shield me from the effects of said event. And it was paying attention to that is what got me to understand that this is the role that I'm supposed to play. So they're oh my God, even with my mom and my brother, it was a lot of shit going on with that. And, I was living with them last year, and it was actually, I was living with them last year, and there was a lot of bullshit going on. And, and that's paraphrasing and to not put all my business out there. But I realized in that moment, in that period of time that I was living with them, I was just there to play a supporting role. I wasn't really supposed to do anything. Wasn't supposed to necessarily be the one taking action. I was just there to, get the gears rolling. And that was a big learning experience for me. I think that's when they really started. They're yes, the Spirit said, yes, our gear is here. and we're going to use this gear. And you know what? It makes me think about Lauryn Hill and, and her saying, in order to be used, you have to be willing to be humiliated. And that is true. If you are going to be a spirit worker, a practitioner, you have to understand this now. You are going to be humiliated. There are going to be instances where you are experiencing so much turmoil, so much pain, so much backflow, but it is imperative to your journey that you experience those things and that you learn from them and grow from those experiences. I cannot stress that enough. Spirit will give you everything that you ask for, but you also have to do what Spirit asks. And that was one of the major lessons that I've learned. And I've become more comfortable with it. I kind of just do it now. Y'all know, oh my God. So if you listen to my podcast from last year, the episodes from last year, I used to talk mad cash shit. But, I don't do that anymore. I've become more grateful for the guidance that I'm receiving from my spirits in the universe. And I'm walking in those lessons. And real, hot boy shit. But this is also the talk of lessons and whatnot is about to lead me into my next point. So let's take another quick break. And we are back. We are busy, but no. Man, basically, one of the things that I learned, so we're back. And one of the things that I learned through this journey was holding self accountable and holding self accountable for the things that were indeed your fucking fault. So if you've been listening since, last year, since the podcast was started, or if you've, went back and listened to them, you'll know what I'm talking about. So as you guys would know, I wasn't in a relationship, but I was dating someone last year. And this person was going through a lot. And so what happened was, the way we met was we met off a fuck app on Grindr. We actually met on Grindr. And we were having, sex or whatever on and off, but the person was a cool person. And so we started to hang out. And we stopped talking for personal reasons on their part, but I started having visions of this person. And not fuck them, but my young ass and, romantic ass. I realize now that I misinterpreted it, the visions that I was having. So we were not in contact for about 3 months, and then we got back in contact January of last year. And I thought, the visions were I thought the visions were telling me, that's why, the visions, let's start there. The reason I even reached out to the person to begin with, after we, had stopped talking, was because the visions told me to. The visions told me, reach out to him. You need to reach out to him. And so I did that. And then we started like dating. And if you remember, I was saying, and you know, this episode that I'm referencing is actually the most listened to episode on my podcast. And I think it's called, what was the name of it? It was like a variation of like Real Learning Boy Shit. Go listen to Real Learning Boy Shit, because that is the episode I'm referencing. So the person was like very emotionally distant, very emotionally like unavailable, you know, like, because we keeping it a buck. The nigga was emotionally unavailable. He wasn't ready for a relationship, wasn't prepared for one. And to be quite honest, was not prepared for me. You know, I'm pretty sure if it was a superficial relationship that, you know, if the person pressuring him for a relationship was like superficial or whatever, then it would have been doable. But, you know, I'm a very intense person and I require a lot. I demand a lot. Not sorry. And it was, you know, me asking of him a relationship that he couldn't give me at that time. And, you know, to be quite frank, he didn't want to give me at that time. But in the midst of this whole romantic stuff, I, you know, was assisting him in many different, you know, areas of his life, you know, personal areas that I'm, you know, not going to talk about because it's not, you know, my business to disclose. But there were a lot of different areas, and you know, that I was helping him work through, and he told me that I was the only person in his life at that period of time who was like down for him like that. And that is important because fast forward to today, and me understanding what my journey is, and me realizing that I'm like a healer / educator, I now realize that the visions weren't telling me to reach out to him because he was going to be my next husband. It was saying like, reach out to him because he needed my fucking help. And I feel like, and I'm going to hold myself accountable for that. And so if you are listening to this, I deeply apologize for putting those expectations on you. That was my naivety. That was my misunderstanding. I should have never expected that from you. And I'm not saying that on some shady shit, but like, that just wasn't, a relationship was not supposed to be the goal. And me misinterpreting that was my fault. You know, I'm not gonna go off and I should have been, no. I'm still learning, I'm forever a student, but I will take accountability for my naivety, and I will take accountability for where I went wrong. So I'm sorry, I'm fully and deeply apologetic for putting those expectations on you, because for multiple reasons, but one, it was unfair. It was unfair to you. That's not what you wanted. That's not what you were trying to do. You told me that's not what you wanted at that time. And, you know, I should have annexed myself from the idea of romanticism with you, but I didn't, and I got hurt in the process. I'm sure I hurt you in the process of that, and for that, I am sorry. It was never my intention to hurt you. I take accountability for all my wrongdoings. And I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of my spirit. I am so sorry about that. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah, I misinterpreted everything. Everything that the spirits were telling me, I misinterpreted it because I wanted it to be something that it wasn't. I wanted the messages to mean something that they didn't mean, and that is my bad. And I really don't know what else to say, but I'm genuinely sorry and apologetic for that. And I hope that you do listen. And I'm actually going to I'm going to link you this episode, and then have it be that. And if you choose to talk to me again, you do. If you don't, you don't. But hey, we're grown. I'm sure I know I'm definitely in an entirely different space, and I'm sure you're in an entirely different space. But you know, we grown, and you know, I pray that, you know, I'm not gonna ask for forgiveness, because to be quite honest, I don't believe in forgiveness. But I do pray and hope that you heal from the wrongdoings that I've committed, and me putting those expectations on you, me putting that pressure on you. You didn't deserve that. So yeah. And next segment. Hey, you are. So this is the final segment of this episode, and I'm doing a reading, a tarot reading, messages from spirit. So, you know, hope if this resonates with you, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're going to shuffle. So, we got Knight of Swords. That's our very first card. Knight of Swords. So, there's obviously something that's bothering, or maybe not even bothering you. Maybe you're just at a certain place in your life, but the Knight of Swords is telling you that whatever it is that you're thinking about, you need to take action. Be steadfast. Don't be complacent. In the words of, you know, our Lord and Savior, Beyonce Knowles, don't talk about what you're going to do. Don't think about what you're going to do. Do it. Take action. Don't be complacent. Then you got the Lovers. The Lovers doesn't necessarily denote a romantic relationship, but it does denote partnership and symbiotic. I don't think symbiosis. That's Atlantean for together. So take action and don't be afraid to lean on those partnerships. Take actions, be steadfast in your relationships, pay attention to your relationships, be attentive. It's also the number 6 of the major arcana. So, you know, stability, progression, development, moving on to final phases. Take action, you know, don't stand still. Then we also got Wheel of Fortune. This is actually funny because I shuffled the deck, but before I shuffled the deck, I showed it to the camera, and the Wheel of Fortune was actually one of the cards that showed. And something told me, like, boy, you do not even have to shuffle it. Just pull those cards out. I shuffled it, and what do you know? It wound up coming out. But chances make champions. We got I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. You know, tarot decks are spirits. They are entities. Please be nice to your deck. Your deck is your friend, or at least your deck should be your friend. Please be nice to your decks. They are very much alive, very much carry energy, and they are the messengers. Please listen to your decks. So we got Wheel of Fortune as the third and final card in this pool. So, chances make champions. That's how I'm interpreting it. Don't be afraid to take a chance. Don't be afraid to lean on those relationships. Take action. That's what's going to bring you fortune. taking action, being steadfast, being attentive, being proactive. That is what is going to push you forward and bring you prosperity and wealth. So I'm going to show all of these to the camera. Okay? And hopefully this message resonates with you all. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in to the season 2 kickoff episode of Bayek's Desert. Once again, I go by Conjurman Bayek now, not Hoodoo Bayek, bitch. So, follow me on Instagram at Conjurman Bayek. You can also go shop with me at bayekshop.com. I'm holding my business card up to the camera, so it's probably going to be reversed, but that's okay. So definitely go check that out and shop with me at bayekshop.com. That's BAYEKSSHOP.com. I worked very hard on that website, worked very hard on these products. Every one of these products are spilled over together and individually. And you can also put in requests for custom products. So shop with me. Gang, gang. Love y'all. Bayek out.